Teachings, chapter 2, part 3. The way of faith. Those who take refuge in the three treasures, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, are called the disciples of Buddha. The disciples of Buddha observe the four parts of mind control, the precepts, faith, offering, and wisdom. The disciples of Buddha practice the five precepts: not to kill, not to steal, not to commit adultery, not to lie, and not to take intoxicants of any kind. The disciples of Buddha have faith in the Buddha's perfect wisdom, then try to keep away from greediness and selfishness and to practice offering. They understand the law of cause and effect, keeping in mind the transiency of life and conform to the norm of wisdom. A tree leaning toward the east will naturally fall eastward, and so those who listen to the Buddha's teaching and maintain faith in it will surely be born in the Buddha's pure land. It has rightly been said that those who believe in the three treasures of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha are called the disciples of Buddha. The Buddha is the one who attained perfect enlightenment and used his attainment to emancipate and bless all mankind. The Dharma is the truth, the spirit of enlightenment, and the teaching that explains it. The Sangha is the perfect brotherhood of believers in the Buddha and Dharma. We speak of Buddhahood, the Dharma, and the Buddhahood, brotherhood, as though they are three different things, but they are really only one. Buddha is manifested in his Dharma and is realized by the brotherhood. Therefore, to believe in the Dharma and to cherish the brotherhood is to have faith in the Buddha, and to have faith in the Buddha means to believe in the Dharma and to cherish the brotherhood. Therefore, people are emancipated and enlightened simply by having faith in the Buddha. Buddha is the perfectly enlightened one, and he loves everyone as though each were his only child. So, if anyone regards Buddha as his own parent, he identifies himself with Buddha and attains enlightenment. Those who thus regard Buddha will be supported by his wisdom and perfumed by his grace. Nothing in the world brings greater benefit than to believe in Buddha. Just hearing Buddha's name, believing and being pleased even for a moment is incomparably rewarding. Therefore, one must please oneself by seeking the teaching of Buddha in spite of the conflagration that fills all the world. It will be hard to meet a teacher who can explain the Dharma. It will be harder to meet a Buddha, but it will be hardest to believe in his teaching. But now that you have met the Buddha, who is hard to meet, and have had it explained to you what is hard to hear, you ought to rejoice and believe and have faith in Buddha. On the long journey of human life, faith is the best of companions. It is the best refreshment on the journey, and it is the greatest possession. Faith is the hand that receives the Dharma. It is the pure hand that receives all the virtues. Faith is the fire that consumes all the impurities of worldly desires. It removes the burden, and it is the guide that leads one's way. Faith removes greed, fear, and pride. It teaches courtesy and to respect others. It frees one from the bondage of circumstances. It gives one courage to meet hardship. It gives one power to overcome temptations. It enables one to keep one's deeds bright and pure, and it enriches the mind with wisdom. Faith is the encouragement when one's way is long and wearisome, and it leads to enlightenment. Faith makes us feel that we are in the presence of Buddha, and it brings us to where Buddha's arm supports us. Faith softens our hard and selfish minds and gives us a friendly spirit and a mind of understanding sympathy. Those who have faith gain the wisdom to recognize the Buddha's teachings in whatever they hear. Those who have faith gain and wisdom to see that everything is but the appearance that arises from the law of causes and conditions, and then faith gives them the grace of patient acceptance and the ability to conform to their conditions peacefully. Faith gives them the wisdom to recognize the transiency of life and the grace not to be surprised or grieved at whatever comes to them or with the passing of life itself. Knowing that, however, conditions and appearances may change, the truth of life remains always unchanged. Faith has three significant aspects: repentance, a rejoicing and sincere respect for the virtues of others, and a grateful acceptance of Buddha's appearance. People should cultivate these aspects of faith. They should be sensitive to their failings and impurities. They should be ashamed of them and confess them. They should diligently practice the recognition of the good traits and good deeds of others and praise them for their sake. And they should habitually desire to act with Buddha and to live with Buddha. The mind of faith is the mind of sincerity. It is a deep mind, a mind that is sincerely glad to be led to Buddha's pure land by his power. Therefore, Buddha gives a power to faith that leads people to the pure land, a power that purifies them, a power that protects them from self delusion. Even if they have faith only for a moment, when they hear Buddha's name praised all over the world, they will be led to his pure land. Faith is not something that is added to the worldly mind, it is the manifestation of the mind's Buddha's nature. One who understands Buddha is a Buddha himself. One who has faith in Buddha is a Buddha himself. But it is difficult to uncover and recover one's Buddha nature. It is difficult to maintain a pure mind in constant rise and fall of greed, anger, and worldly passion. Yet faith enables one to do it. Within the forest of the poisonous aranda trees, only aranda trees are said to grow, but not the fragrant chandana. It is a miracle of if a chandana tree grows in an aranda forest. Likewise, it is often a miracle that faith in Buddha grows in the heart of the people. Therefore, the faith to believe in Buddha is called a rootless faith. That is, it has no root by which it can grow in the human mind, but it has a root to grow in the compassionate mind of Buddha. Thus, faith is fruitful and sacred, but faith is hard to awaken in an idle mind. In particular, there are five doubts that lurk in the shadows of the human mind and tend to discourage faith. First, there is doubt in the Buddha's wisdom. Second, there is doubt in the Buddha's teaching. Third, there is doubt in the person who explains the Buddha's teaching. Fourth, there is doubt as to whether the ways and methods suggested for following the noble path are reliable. And fifth, there is a person who, because of his arrogant and impatient mind, may doubt the sincerity of others who understand and follow the Buddha's teachings. Indeed, there is nothing more dreadful than doubt. Doubt separates people. It is a poison that disintegrates friendships and breaks up pleasant relations. It is a thorn that irritates and hurts. It is a sword that kills. The beginnings of faith were long ago planted by the compassion of Buddha. When one has faith, one should realize this fact and be very grateful to Buddha for his goodness. One should never forget that it is not because of one's own compassion that one has awakened faith, but because of the Buddha's compassion, which long ago threw its pure light of faith into human minds and dispelled the darkness of their ignorance. He who enjoys the present faith has entered into their heritage. Even living an ordinary life, one can be born in the Pure Land if he awakens faith through the Buddha's long continued compassion. It is indeed hard to be born in this world. It is hard to hear the Dharma. It is harder to awaken faith. Therefore, everyone should try one's best to hear the Buddha's teaching.